Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. It feels so good to be back home. It feels so good to be able to say that after 1 month of not being at the park. And I know that's an embarrassment of riches for those of you like, Ricky, I haven't been at the park since before the pandemic party began. Well, it feels good to be back home and to bring each and every one of you with me, whether you've been here in the last week or in the last 2 years. Let's go around and look at a couple of projects that have really matured since I've been gone and do a little bit of a more design focus update. Because if I were to update you on everything that has happened in just the 1 month since we've done an episode of Update, it would be a very, very long video. I would be here for hours and I would be editing forever. So let's focus in on a couple of key projects and slowly get back up to speed, as so much has happened since the last time you and I took a rip around Disneyland. All right, friends, let's jump in New Orleans Square, what many of you refer to as your favorite land at Disneyland and a Disneyland exclusive. You will not find a New Orleans Square at any other Disney park around the world, which makes it such a special part of Disneyland. And as we all know, one of the things that makes Disneyland so special is its age, its prestige. This is Walt's park. And when Walt and his buds designed it, they didn't know Fantasmic or all the fantastic amount of crowds would be coming. So let's do a little breakdown on why it's so important for New Orleans Square to get redesigned. Friends, one of the projects that I was dying to get to see, Pirates of the Caribbean / New Orleans Square redesign. Now, in my opinion, this is something I think that has been long overdue. For a long time, this has been a pinch point where all the different crowds come together, and something that just wasn't designed for today's traffic flow and for today's humans. Taking this apart, reconstructing it for a better people flow. I know that if you're coming out here and you don't get to ride Pirates, it's a bum out. If you've got a reservation to eat at the Blue Bayou and you have to look at a construction wall, that's also a bum out. But if we push forward and look beyond the next couple of months, having a New Orleans Square that flows better is going to be fantastic for Fantasmic, as well as just busy days at the park. Because historically, this is one of those spots you can tell how busy is Disneyland because it backs up so much. Hot take, I'm not missing the trees out here. This is such a beautiful facade. I love the way that you can see that New Orleans Square is crafted to look like a small community of buildings. And those trees, even though they did create a lot of shade, they really hid a lot of beauty. However, if we go over to Mickey and Friends parking structure, we can clearly look back into the park and see that those two trees did something very important. They blocked out the view of this building. I've never been able to see that before from the parking structure, but I could do it today because of those two trees that were removed. I'm sure something's going to come back, but I'm kind of enjoying the change of pace, at least for the moment. And it's pretty evident that those trees are not there, but I don't necessarily think that it's the worst thing that ever happened. I know everybody loves the shade, but I also like to be able to see the facade of the beautiful Pirates building. So when we come over here and look at the entryway to 21 Royal, you can see the building from this angle clearly, but this is pretty much your only shot to ever see the building uninterrupted. Now let's come over to the bridge, the pedestrian bridge, where you finally get to see in all of its glory this beautiful facade without any obstructions. I'm enjoying this for the moment. I'm not saying forever, but I'm enjoying it for the moment because the first time in my adult life, I've been able to see this building in all its glory. Now let's look down on the bottom side of the pedestrian bridge where we can look inside of the construction walls that actually bring guests into Pirates of the Caribbean, the attraction. But I can't. I gotta look back. I gotta soak this in. I am so fascinated to get to see this view, so much that I had to go on top of Mark Twain to look at everything from a distance. Now, finally, as I promised, let's look inside of the Pirates of the Caribbean entryway. You can see that it's taken down to pretty much sand. I mean, this is a major construction project. They are going in there and gutting out the entire walkway. I'm assuming to make a much better efficient people flow because this ride has got some age on it, and Disneyland has changed so much in the way that it's being used with lightning lanes and the amount of crowds that are coming out to the park. But let's look at this facade and all of its beauty and admire the Walt and Roy emblems over on the banisters at 21 Royal. And now over to the second phase of this project. One of the amazing things about New Orleans Square is the fact that it is also an amphitheater where there's different levels stacking up, creating an amphitheater to look over to the rivers of America to enjoy Fantasmic most evenings. Let's count the different layers and see how these construction projects are going to affect what are essentially like bleachers or stadium seating to see everything that happens out on the river. I know I talk about this amphitheater design a lot, so let's break it down. We have one level there, the waterside level. We have our second row for seeing over that area. Then we have number 3, which is a major walkway. Now the construction project picks up again at level 4. Now on the backside of level 4, we have 5, which is another walkway. Then we have the dining, which I'm going to consider 6. And then because there's always an upper class, 7, Club 33. 7 different levels of people being able to see the rivers of America. So when we look at this construction project and think about it logistically, what we're trying to do is clean up 2 different things. Walkways of people going east and west, but then when we think of this space as north to south or vertically, we're trying to clean up the sight lines for all of the guests that want to get up on these various rows and look down and see the rivers of America for Fantasmic, something that was never designed to originally be here. This idea of creating the rivers of America and turning it into an outdoor amphitheater, this is the originality that made me fall in love with Disneyland. Somebody at some point had to stand here and say, you know what we could do? We could do a nighttime show on the river, and the way that we're going to allow everybody to see that is we're going to transform the walkways into an amphitheater. Can you see it from the river to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all the way going up to Club 33 to the 7th level? Everything you're looking at right now is 2 things. Another thing that I love about Disneyland is everything kind of needs to be able to do multiple things to justify its space. So the walkway also becomes the stands. Let's look at this above from Google Earth, and you can get a better idea of the stairs that we're stacking our guest on. Through the tree canopy, you can also see some of the different planters and various different items like stairs that are probably going to get readjusted for both better people flow and better stacking of guests for nighttime shows. Friends, this is a masterclass in design problem solving. You want to put on a show, but you also have large crowds. Therefore, taking the space and thinking of it as an amphitheater, but disguising it by all these various different paths, which are now highlighted from the path view inside of Google Earth. I hope this has kind of helped you see what I've been talking about for so long. When I think about my love of Disneyland, it's this type of problem solving that absolutely makes me love it. I just got back from doing a week out at Walt Disney World, and Walt Disney World is fantastic, and I love going out there. But people say, what's different about Disneyland? And I say it's the size. It's the design within constraints that makes Disneyland really shine, because every piece of the park has to be treated in a very, very precious manner. And now the sailing ship Columbia is back to doing laps around rivers of America. Look at this fantastic view that we hardly ever get of Fowler's Harbor. I absolutely love this part of the park. This part of the park shows how Disneyland decided to become like a real city and not like a theme park. When Admiral Joe Fowler convinced Walt that they would need a dry dock to bring the boats in to do maintenance on them, Walt at first didn't quite get it, but that's when Admiral Joe said, what are we doing here? Are we building a theme park where everything will fall apart in a decade? Or are we building a little city that'll be able to stand the test of time? Walt knew he was outsmarted for once, threw up his hands and said, all right, Joe, you can have your little ditch. And Fowler's Harbor really symbolizes the idea, let's build Disneyland like a small little city, not like a disposable theme park. And that's why I feel like I'm at home when I come here, because I'm in love with the design thinking that is Disneyland. Friends, it's definitely interesting that character meet and greets are coming back, the kind where we're no longer physically distant, so you can get all of those hugs in that you've been missing from your favorite characters. Have I ever hugged a character? I'll get back to you on that one. It's interesting that this is coming back at a moment where our main character meet and greet area, Toontown, where the littlest citizens of Disneyland have all the time to meet Minnie and Mickey and the rest of the gang, is closed for over a year. So it'll be interesting to see, does it all go over to Fantasy Fair? Do they create a couple of other different areas where you can have these interactive meet and greets that fans have been wanting back for so long? Not anything that I ever really partaked in. There's the answer we were looking for. I've seen online that it's really, really important to a lot of folks. So it'll be fascinating to see where Disney decides to do these more interactive character meet and greets, with the main location being down for over a year. And this is my first time seeing these walls. It suddenly makes Disneyland feel so much smaller and, dare I say, a little sad. Can't wait to see Toontown back, but we'll be following the process from the top Mickey and Friends parking structure as best as we can. So we'll try to keep our eyes and ears on what's happening here as one of the best attractions Disney Imagineering has ever created. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is on its way to Disneyland, and I cannot wait. It's probably my favorite attraction out at Walt Disney World. Good things to come. That's right, friends. One of the most special and magical things about Disneyland and how it's seen through friends and families, but most importantly, the eyes of the youngest citizens of Disneyland. This time has come back to where we can get up close, meet and greet and touch and hug the characters that bring this park to life, the true citizens of Disneyland that make the magic for us all and make those memories that last a lifetime that we see in the reflection of our children's eyes. One more indication that the world in Disneyland is slowly getting back to where it once was and becoming a place full of magical moments and magical memories. Whew, that even choked me up. All right, let's stand atop Mickey and Friends parking structure and peer off into now our only views we have of Toontown. We can see that there are workers still working on the walls that we were tracking inside the park. These are the walls that are right behind Mickey and Minnie's house. But it's going to be interesting to see how much of this can we see come together from these sort of weird views. Now, this one's a very long shot, but I'm going to zoom in and show you what it is that we're looking at. You can see there that it appears that they're now making a second level on the wall that we'd been watching them put together. All of this is to mask out Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is going to be a runaway hit at Disneyland. This is going to bring so much life into Toontown, which this was my first time getting to see the locked gates, which makes it feel pretty sad. But let's break this down. There's a door for them to be able to get in there, but also these rollers indicate that there are various different ways that they are bringing in heavy equipment, and one of those ways is under the train bridge. Friends, it's gone. It's literally all gone. Last time we were in here filming, one building was down, and now it is all gone. In the span of just 4 quick weeks, where did it go? Friends, beyond a doubt, the biggest change in the last month is if you look behind me, there's nothing there, and it feels incredibly small with that stretch of downtown Disney removed. It's insane. It's insane what a small footprint that was. I hope to share that as much as possible in the video to give you the idea of the lack of scale that's missing now that all the buildings have been taken down, really showing what Walt Disney Imagineering does as far as using lots of little buildings and facades to big spaces when they're actually in tiny little footprints. Let's work our way around the construction zone and try to give you the scale that's been removed from the park. So this is the shot on the back corner of the parking lot. This is what it looked like at the beginning of the year. Obviously, what the AMC Theater did was really break up this piece of land in a way to where we never saw the Paradise Pier Hotel when we were over on Downtown Disney. I mean, maybe a little view here and there, but now the hotel feels closer than it ever has been before, and maybe that's part of the idea to make that off-site hotel feel a little bit more connected to the other theme park hotels that actually touch the theme park. But there's your 360 view just to see how much is now missing. And I had a pretty gray day out at the park yesterday, so that kind of will mess with the depth of field a little bit. But once again, let's look here on this corner. You can see the old AMC Theater building, which kind of built up a lot of suspense, right? You're coming up here during the Touch of Disney days. You're getting ready to hang a right to go inside of Downtown Disney. That anticipation is now gone. It's just vast openness. They did keep the trees, which makes me think that that has a lot to do with where the footprint will be. But now let's stand back on the back edge of the parking lot. We're looking clear over to the other side of Downtown Disney. This is what that view looked like when we were filming, when I was the first to notice this is where they're going to be bringing in the equipment. Now we can see the old former ESPN zone with the various different murals there to show different activities that are happening over at Disney Plus. there's the Lego building. We can see the Lego building from the backside of the AMC parking lot. This is such a big removal. Let's go up a little bit higher just to see this crater that is now inside of Downtown Disney. And two things, it feels incredibly small, but yet again, it also feels like a pretty big canvas for them to make something better. And that is the part I'm so excited about. Look, we can see the Star Wars trading post clearly as part of Downtown Disney has just been taken down. A huge separational piece that now makes it all feel very open and like there's a big future ahead of what this could be crafted out and to become. There's still construction going on over at the Paradise Pier Hotel for the moment. Soon to be Pixar Pier Hotel. It has to be, right? We're probably months away from hearing about that. But now as we spin back around from the edge of the parking lot, you get the idea that Disney Imagineers really do a great job of placing buildings in areas that divide up the sight lines. I'm always talking to you about sight lines, but that is what makes Disneyland such an amazing experience. It's a very, very small footprint of land. So every building has to be put in a way that makes you feel so removed from what's around the bend or on the other side of the building. Being able to see the Star Wars trading post from the backside of the parking lot suddenly makes Downtown Disney feel so small. Here we can see that they're just literally taking the debris, breaking it, crunching it down, moving over to one side. I'm assuming in the evenings, they're probably just hauling it all out the backside of the theme park. But let's step over to the side. Here, there is a view of nothing, literally nothing. But luckily, we did all of our before shots so we can remember the sort of the bizarro storefronts that sit outside of the actual gates, the security gates into Downtown Disney. You can see the travel agency, the building that they were literally just using to inflate balloons that they were selling in Downtown Disney. This sight line completely gone. These buildings, no more. But it does bring up an interesting idea of how this new layout will improve Disney. Is there a way to bring the Pixar Pier Hotel more into the fold? It feels closer than it ever has before. This is the same view before when the AMC Theater and Earl of Sandwich were sitting here. In this view, you feel very pinned in between the buildings behind you and the buildings in front of you. Now it's just broad open view to Paradise Pier Hotel. If that's going to become a big money project, they probably would like to find a way to include it more into everything else. And it looks like me and this crane are kind of running at the same speed with my pan and scan. Grand Californian, clearly visible. Fun Wheel, visible. Even the top of the Incredicoaster, a lot of that was blocked out. This is the exact same view by the Starbucks, the Sugar Boo and Company, which was various different things. But here is the broad view you see of how these buildings each cut up into little pieces. I always talk about it. Different facade every 20 to 30 feet, different parklets. All of this creates a lot of different visual language that tells you that you're in a spot. Now let's line up the balloons from the past to the balloons of now. Could you imagine if that was my lineup spot? But the balloons are still there, but nothing else is. And now this piece of land feels tiny. Yeah, I sell that egg. I'm a world-class egg hunter. But it feels so little. It might look big on the camera because cameras seem to make everything much further away than what they actually feel. But when you're there, friend, you're just dumbfounded that all of that existed in this tiny little space. When you get on the other side of the monorail, you can look over and it's just a wide open view of the Fantasy Tower over at the Disneyland Hotel. That wasn't the case before. When you would look over the Lego store, you would see a lot of the buildings that what it was doing was pushing the Disneyland Hotel back further. Now it's just kind of right there on the edge of your eyes. Here is a view from the monorail platform. You can see all the debris that they've piled up. Let's zoom in so you can actually get to see that what they're doing is making these big piles over to the left. That is the entry and exit point of this project where they're going to haul everything out. Now, let's look at it from the monorail. Let's slow the camera down, and this is what is left. big chunks of concrete with rebar like spaghetti strung all about. Lots of different piles of rubble that will be hauled out. You can see that there's one wall left over in the top of the shot. And then we see this metal here. I'm going to believe that that's probably part of the atrium that was torn down that was in front of the AMC theater. A little bit curious about these stairs that were obviously put into the concrete. I believe that would be something that would be inside of the buildings, because were there any stairs originally around there? Probably not, because of how Disney tries to make everything ADA accessible. As we're slowly pulling away, it both looks tiny and big. It looks tiny in that now everything feels so much closer together. It looks big in its possibilities to think about how a 2022 team of Imagineers can better cut up that piece of land to serve it a little bit better to the needs of the citizens of Disneyland in this time versus when it was first constructed. So hopefully you can tell by the space behind me and all the different shots I've given you from all around the different perimeter. We've been tracking this from the very beginning, one of the very first YouTube channels to start following this from the start. And the footage from the monorail really shows just how it's leveled out back to zero. I'm going to do my best to put the concept art in there to give you an idea of what the next shape of this land is going to be. But this is going to be a very fascinating thing for us to check out the rest of this year. And yes, I flew in from Salt Lake City, Utah this morning.
Oh my God! It is way faster! Oh my God!
Had to wear a mask for hours and hours in the airport. That's why I have the mask beard crimp. That is such an amazing style that came out in the year 2020. Never before was there the beard crimp until now. Looking up from above, the building that you see in the bottom left of your screen, that is everything that has been taken out. One building that was cut up to look like several different buildings, all removed and taken away. My theory is that this area will now become a set of buildings, a series of buildings that will have interlocking walkways in between them, and also a better area or performance area so that Disney can cater more to the event type crowd, the entertainment that they've been putting more and more into the parks. But as we spin around, we can tell that this was definitely a big undertaking to get this much removed. Will they go into the parking lot, or is the parking lot considered sacred space? Is it not zoned for this type of building? We'll see where all of this goes, but I am fascinated to know that this was once there, almost became part of a massive hotel, but now it's going to become this. And if we match up our concept art, we see, and I know this isn't to scale, but we get the idea that this construction project is more about bringing people deeper into this space with the courtyard, with the different outdoor areas. And then we also see in the center of your screen now, there'll be buildings over here. So instead of a big block in this area, will it become more of a horseshoe, more of a courtyard to entertain people, for people to have a good time, to come together and enjoy downtown Disney in a way that wasn't possible with a movie theater and a couple of restaurants. If you think about how entertainment has evolved, movies are now something that we watch at home, and restaurants are more small, more boutique, more niche down into one particular item. It seems like the type of people that Disney likes to book here at Downtown Disney and Disney Springs are these type of companies that are famous for doing one thing and doing one thing really well. The evolution of the outdoor space, the evolution of America and how we now spend money with so much being online, the evolution of entertainment. Friends, I hope you enjoyed today's update. It feels so great to be back. I'll see you here next Friday.